Let's take a trip back to a time that feels both distant and strangely familiar. Back to the days when catalogs doubled as wish lists, when television stations signed off for the night, and when Grandma's couch was wrapped in sticky plastic that crackled every time you sat down. This was a slower world, a simpler one, and if these memories sound familiar, well, you might be a little older than you think. So get comfortable. Take a deep breath and let us revisit some moments that once felt completely ordinary, but now live quietly in the corners of our memory. Back then, the family car was more than just a way to get from one place to another. It was a rolling playground. Those long station wagons could carry half the neighborhood, and somehow no one ever wore a seatbelt. Kids piled into the back, sometimes facing backward, waving at the cars behind us, or making silly faces through the glass. On hot summer days, there was no air conditioning. Just the windows rolled down, warm wind rushing through the car, hair blowing everywhere, and the steady hum of tires on the road. Sometimes we played games, sometimes we talked, and sometimes we just stared out the window, watching the world pass by like a movie we didn't want to end. Do you remember trading stamps, green stamps, blue chip stamps? Little colorful rectangles handed out at grocery stores, gas stations, and department stores. We carefully licked them, stuck them into booklets, and slowly filled each page, believing that every stamp brought us closer to something important. A toaster, a blender, maybe even patio furniture. To this day, it's hard to understand how that business model actually worked, but somehow it did. And if you still have something in your house that came from trading stamps, you're not alone. Television was different back then, too. TV didn't run all night. Around 10 o'clock, stations would prepare to sign off. A test pattern would appear on the screen, accompanied by a steady tone, followed by the national anthem. It felt like a quiet signal that the day was officially over. And then there was that familiar reminder. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? A simple sentence, but one that somehow made bedtime feel important, almost ceremonial. These little rituals gave structure to the day, something that feels rare in today's always-on world. Catalogs were another big part of life. When one arrived in the mail, it wasn't just advertising, it was an event. We'd flip through page after page, dreaming about clothes, gadgets, and toys. But the Christmas catalogs were something special. Sears, J.C. Penney, we circled our favorite toys, folded pages, and imagined what might appear under the tree on Christmas morning. It wasn't just shopping, it was anticipation. Weeks of excitement built from glossy pages and big dreams. Watching movies at home used to be an event, too. You'd switch the TV to Channel 3, Slide a VHS tape into the VCR and hope the last person remembered to rewind it. Not everyone even owned a VCR at first. Some families rented the machine along with the movie. Friday nights often meant a trip to the video rental store. Rows and rows of tapes. Bright cover art, that unmistakable plastic smell. Picking a movie felt important because once you chose, that was it for the weekend. Even car keys were simpler. You had two separate keys, one for the door, one for the ignition. You'd fumble with them in the dark, trying to find the right one. But losing a key didn't mean replacing an expensive electronic fob. Just a quick trip to the hardware store for a copy. It was low-tech, hands-on, and strangely satisfying. Summer days were spent outside. Bikes were freedom. We rode until the streetlights came on. That was the universal signal to head home. No helmets, no phones, no tracking apps. Just scraped knees, sunburned faces, and endless exploration. Your bike wasn't just transportation. It was your passport to adventure. Before smartphones and search engines, there was the phone book, big, heavy, and impossible to miss. The yellow pages for businesses, the white pages for people. Important phone numbers were written on paper and kept near the phone or memorized. Some people even paid extra to keep their names out of the book. Hard to imagine now, but those thick books were once essential. And then there was the furniture. Plastic covers on sofas and chairs, especially at Grandma's house. They stuck to your legs in the summer and crackled loudly in the winter. Uncomfortable. Yes. Unforgettable. Absolutely. They were just part of life. Little golden books played a big role in childhood, too. Thin pages, bright illustrations, simple stories. Parents reading them at bedtime. Voices soft and familiar. Each book felt like a tiny doorway into another world, one we carried with us long after the lights were turned off. Saturday mornings belonged to cartoons, and cartoons came with commercials, loud, colorful ads for toys, cereal, and snacks designed to grab a kid's attention in seconds. Believe it or not, those commercial breaks were meant to help children tell the difference between the show and the ads. Most of us just wished they'd hurry up so the cartoons could come back. For many kids, G.I. Joe wasn't just a toy. It was a universe. Battles played out on living room floors. Missions imagined for hours on end. Those figures fueled creativity in a way that feels rare today. Metal lunchboxes were another badge of honor. Covered in characters from your favorite movies or TV shows, they weren't just containers, they were statements. Carrying one made you feel ready for the day, like you had something special tucked under your arm. Typing class was a rite of passage. Heavy typewriters, loud keys, the rhythmic clatter and the satisfying ding at the end of each line. It felt more like learning an instrument than preparing for office work. And without realizing it, we were laying the foundation for the keyboards we use every day now. Before the internet, finding movie showtimes took effort. You checked the newspaper or called the theater and listened to a recorded message. Going to the movies felt like an occasion: popcorn, dark theaters, and shared excitement. Gas stations were different, too. Many were full service. An attendant filled your tank, checked your oil, and cleaned your windshield. It wasn't just about gas. It was about service, about feeling taken care of. In classrooms, the sound of the film projector was unmistakable. Teachers threaded film reels by hand. Students volunteered to advance the film, sometimes messing it up entirely. Those little interruptions made the experience even more memorable. And finally, there was macrame, plant hangers, wall decorations, knotted patterns everywhere, often with an owl hidden somewhere in the design. It was simply part of the decor, something you saw without thinking twice. If these memories brought a smile to your face, you're not alone. They remind us of a time when life felt slower, simpler, and a little more personal. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, consider subscribing so you don't miss future videos, and feel free to share your own memories in the comments. I'd love to hear which moments stood out most for you.